third clean shirt?
Yeah, we got one for doing the boxing, so I got 3 of them now.
Ron, what's your reaction to obviously the collaborative decision to add Eric Reid to the roster?
Well, I thought it was a good decision, and again, it was a football decision. You know, when you look at what happened to us with the injury to Denoris, you know, it made sense to look at the board and say, okay, who's the best available player, the best available veteran player that could come in and add to your team right away. And that's really the thought process behind it more than anything else.
Understanding it, I mean, it was a football decision, but there's also a lot around him because of the protests and the collusion thing. How much was that discussed amongst you guys, and what are your thoughts moving forward with that?
Well, I just think that enough was discussed about it, more so than anything else. And, you know, the one thing we didn't get away from, obviously, was that. But, you know, going forward, we feel strong about who he is as a young man. We feel strong about who we are as an organization. And we, you know, ultimately always comes back to football. And I think that's what this is about.
What kind of role, if any, did Torrey Smith have in kind of talking on his behalf?
Well, we most certainly heard it. And when you talk to Torrey about him, you know, Torrey talks about his character and who he is as a person, and that makes a lot of sense. So again, as I said, you know, when we were making a football decision, we feel strongly about it.
Ron, what have you seen from him since he's been in the building for a guy that hasn't played football?
Well, he's been very committed to it. You know, he came in, signed on Thursday. He was in the building on Friday with Coach Rogers. I believe he was in the building early Saturday as well. Went home, came back Sunday. No, it was the other way around. He came back. I know he came back Sunday. He was with Coach Rogers again that afternoon. I mean, he's a young man that really wants to get into the book and get himself prepared and go forward to play. And that's our goal, is to have him ready to go and somehow in some fashion play him on Sunday.
Ron, Captain said that he was especially, I mean, he said all the guys were impressed with Eric in the film study this morning, and Captain spoke about how apparent it was how much he wanted to be invested into the playbook and how much he missed. He clearly missed playing.
Yes.
Did you hear anything about how that film session went?
Yes, I did. And again, I was in on their first meeting as well and listened. And again, here's a guy that was paying attention to things, takes great notes, and was into it. So again, as I said, the thing that, you know, we're hoping for obviously is that things come together very well for him throughout the week, and he's ready to play for us on Sunday.
Maybe not in week 5, but when he gets into football shape, when he really understands what you guys are doing, what can he do for you on the field? What different positions can he play? What do you envision?
Well, with his skill set, I mean, and again, just watching him run around and cover people today, you know, he was in on, I would say he was probably in on about 60% of the snaps, if I got that correct, on defense. And his movement skills were there. I mean, he was covering tight ends. He was running with wide receivers. He gives you an opportunity to have what looks like a safety can play in the post, play the deep half, or can play up in the box. So you got a lot of flexibility with him. With his ability to play in the box and his skill set to run, you could play him as a big nickel. So it gives us some position flexibility with him. He can play strong or free as well, and so I'm not concerned with that. Again, once he learns and understands and has a good feel, I think you get another field general back there with he and Mike. I think those two guys will be a pretty formidable group.
A signing like this will bring more than likely increased media coverage and this and that. The fact that you have a pretty veteran locker room, especially on the defensive side, how is that beneficial in a situation like this?
Well, I believe we have a strong locker room. I think the culture there has been in place. I mean, this is our 8th season. We've got some veteran guys that have been here a while that understand and been part of it, and guys that he can lean on and ask questions about and be involved with. Again, you know, as I said, you know, this decision and this is really all about football as far as we're concerned.
Ron, is this a decision you could have considered with Jerry Richardson as your owner?
This was a football decision we made. I'm not going to get into that part of it, Scott. I just think that what we did and the decision that was made really was about football for us.
Speaking of football, then, it sounds like you're saying some form or fashion he'll be active Sunday. Do you foresee that he could start if you want him to?
Yes, I think so. He's come in. He's in great shape. He's a guy that's really trying to learn and understand and fit in. And I think he will fit very well into what we do as a football team.
It's not often you add guys of his caliber in week 5. What can he do for what you're trying to do in the secondary?
Well, the biggest thing more than anything else, I said, he's a veteran guy. You know, he'll pick it up quickly. What we're looking for is a guy that can come in and make an impact right now. I mean, we lost that in Sears. You know, he's a physical player. Eric's a physical player. Sears is a smart player. Eric's a smart player. He's shown that he's picking it up very quickly. And that's kind of what we wanted, was a veteran guy that could come in and assimilate very quickly to our style of defense.
You had Torrey, of course, speaking on his behalf internally. Did you make any calls externally or hear from anybody, you know, as you kind of weighed this decision?
No. I think, again, a lot of the things that we did, we talked to the people we felt we needed to, and then we went from there.
What do you think about Curtis Samuel being out?
It's great to see Curtis out there, and he looked like he was having a lot of fun. You know, he went through a little bit of a health scare. You know, it got straightened out, and for him to be able to be out there now was pretty exciting. And again, as I said, I'm happy to have him out there again.
Ron, has Trey Turner cleared the concussion protocol?
I believe so. He was out there practicing today, took all of his reps, and looked good. So, yeah, I do believe he did.
With Curtis, we know that this has been an ongoing thing. Did you know from the onset that this was something that could potentially take a number of weeks, or was this something that sort of evolved over time?
As far as that was concerned, we just went along with what the doctors were telling us. And we were told on Thursday that they were going to allow Curtis to start practicing again.
Having a bye week clearly was helpful for some of these injured guys. How helpful was it for Eric?
Well, yeah, I think for us it was great. I mean, you know, we started early last week, you know, talking about it, and then Marty and his people made contact with them, and so it was probably a couple days. You know, they were working on it, but being able to get him to come in at the end of the week on Thursday, spend some time with the coaches before he went home real quick and came back, and spend some more time with them, I think that was very beneficial.
Curtis said today that he felt like he was a little bit faster out there than he's ever been before. What's sort of the plan for integrating him and trying to get him back into the flow of the offense?
We'll continue to watch him, see how his conditioning is. I mean, obviously with his skill set and his speed, his ability to get downfield, you know, makes him a valuable part of it. You know, and we'll get Demir back as well. So again, adding 2 speed players to what we do, as far as the offense, could be a very good thing for us this week.
You're going to have 2 LSU defensive backs in the secondary now. What about coming out of LSU and the SEC in general makes those players so good back there?
Well, I think because a big part of it, first of all, is that they do play in a very competitive conference. You know, probably the elite conference. And when you play against such, you know, that type of competition year in and year out, you're going to develop your skill sets. And LSU is one of those, you know, they recruit those type of players, and so you're going to have a number of them that come out each year, and you know, and so again, it's I think that's a big part of it. I also know right now, currently, their defensive coordinator is a guy that a lot of people know in the NFL circles because he's done some of the internships, the Bill Walsh fellowships. So he some of his techniques, some of the stuff that he does, he's learned through the NFL.
Ron, we had learned that when he came in to sign his contract in the next morning that you had a chance to talk with Eric for a period of time. What did you two discuss?
Talked about football and about playing football. You know, just normal chit chat. But you know, it was about opportunity to get on the football field, and probably the biggest question he asked me really was, what would you say your base fronts and coverages are? And we talked about that, and he just seemed ready to roll.
How much did you share with him your beliefs on the anthem and everything that's going on around that?
I think we had a nice conversation about things, and again, I just think he has a feel for us, and you know, feel pretty good about it.
You guys also traded for Marshall Newhouse over the bye as well. What was the thinking going into that move, and where do you expect his role to be?
Well, he was the guy. Marshall was a guy that we had targeted in the preseason, trying to cut a deal with Buffalo, and you know, and the opportunity came up last week, and it was one that Marty felt strong about, and he and I talked about it because Marty had shown me the tape on this guy during the preseason, so we thought this would be a good move for us. Again, position flexibility. He plays both right and left and plays them both fairly well. I'll be honest with you, I was very comfortable with it because I know their offensive line coach pretty well, and he's very similar in terms of some of the techniques he teaches that, like Coach Matsko.
I gotta ask you about your new puppy.
Oh, yeah. He's great. You know, it's one of those things, again, going back, you know, it's the first time we were without a dog for a while and got an opportunity to get one. And, you know, as Stephanie has said, you know, we want him to become a therapy dog and have him work with, you know, some children and some hospital stuff. So we're looking forward to that.
Ron, the preseason talk just wasn't able to get very far with Marshall or Buffalo at that time.
No, because again, you know, that's a valuable position, and what happens a lot of times, people have young players and they want to see where they are before they make decisions. I know that they have a young tackle they like a lot, and it's one of those things, if you keep a veteran guy in front of that young tackle will never get an opportunity, and I think by trading him, they've kind of created that situation where that young tackle will get his opportunity.